It looks like an old prison, or maybe a hospital, with air shafts penetrating down to painted-over skylights. A monstrous orange hulk that is one of the single biggest buildings buried in the Lost City. It towers over the corner of 6th and Main Streets, 90 years old. The Pacific Electric building once dominated the center of the city. Now its 500,000 square feet are just a dusty remnant of a time when this was the headquarters of Southern California's rail lines, both trains and streetcars. An investment company took it over from the railroad in 1983 and owns it today with hopes of selling it. The Pacific Electric is ideally suited to become part of the new residential zoning of downtown, and new potential owners are looking at it right now. But as we looked through the vast empty place, we saw this. 610 South Main Street already has a resident. Exactly one resident. Bert Schoenberg, who lives in the old train station lobby in the one-time barbershop, and he loves his giant home.
The building is marvelous. I don't think anybody could pay for such a building today. It's just fantastic, and you come across all sorts of goodies every once in a while that you didn't even realize that were here.
As usual in the Lost City, that is an understatement. The goodies range from the huge parking garage, which used to be the main train station lobby, now complete with cars parking right on the old marble floors, to what appears to be a beautiful intact ceiling, until Bert found this door, taking us to a long-abandoned, far more ornate ceiling area lost to time.
I swear that you can feel the whole ceiling giving with each step. I hope that that's just my imagination. I'm really hoping that that's not what's happening on every step I take.
Equipment is still lying around in the old offices at Pacific Electric, ancient adding machines, desks, and miles of hallways that stream past forests of dark wooden doorways. The top floors are dominated by polished marble that Bert says makes the place echo at night. For an 87-year-old man living here alone, it can be uncomfortable.
It's interesting and strange at the same time. It's a huge building full of architectural beauties, and really it's a pleasure to walk around. And at the same time, I'm the only person here. I sometimes get worried about street noises, thinking somebody might be lurking in the building.
Yeah.
But it always turns out to be a street noise.
Bert discovered he has his own penthouse in the Pacific Electric, possibly the biggest one in the entire Lost City. 5,000 square feet with a vaulted 40-foot arched roof. Just part of a home no one can believe.
Every friend who's visited me, I've taken them up here and shown them this, and they're flabbergasted. Yeah. It's, this was built by a very rich man at a time when money really went far.
Henry Huntington, who owned the Pacific Electric rail lines, built the building originally, again sparing no expense, in a Lost City structure that lost its way over the years. Now a new owner will have to rework the vast place into homes, saving things like the massive atrium roof, long covered over, and maybe even saving a more important asset, like Bert Schoenberg himself. The one-time music major still plays his beloved Mozart piano pieces in his old barbershop home. It's often the only sound in the huge building. Bert doesn't care if the Pacific Electric finally becomes renewed housing. He just hopes that eventually there's room for him.
No, I wouldn't mind at all. I would just hope that I'd be able to afford something in the area afterwards.
Or maybe in the building.
Maybe, yes.
In the biggest building left in the Lost City, David Jackson, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
When I walked through this building for the first time in the middle 1990s, it was just me and the cameraman, the two of us having been given the key to the building by the owner at the time. He almost did not know what was inside the structure himself. He hadn't explored it fully. He told us to just simply come in and take a look around. It was abandoned and had been for more than 30 years. Filthy, dirty, dusty. A small portion of it had been used for some television and movie shoots, but only a little corner. The rest of it was all left behind by the Southern Pacific Railroad, which had used the entire structure as its headquarters for many, many years. We roamed through the entire place using just a flashlight. Now, Southern Pacific Pipelines hasn't been in here for decades. This goes way back. It is, if you let your mind go that way, it feels like you're walking through the corridors of a sunken ship. What on earth is that?
Sewing machine, maybe?
No, too old. That's older than a sewing machine. That's the Challenge Machinery Company, Chicago. What kind of machinery? It looks like Gutenberg's printing press. Look at that. What in the world would a thing like that be? It's some kind of big wood cutting thing or something. I don't know. It weighs like 17,000 pounds. No dealing with it. If you want one, here's where you come to get it. Oh yeah, this is old stuff. Some nice wood. What that would be.
Yes.
Payroll, corporate accounts payable. Somebody's file for, I don't know what it would be, but something. That's all right. An old adding machine. A record book for the electric department. And here we have the electric department. Oh, no records were kept for the electric department. Yeah, a few. That's it. They were not big record keepers. That's why they're not here. Remington Rand. Be an adding machine from 1945. Look at that stuff. Old mechanical adding machines from the age of machinery. Something out of the mechanical age. Pre-computerized, you know? It's like you need an industrial switching mechanism, we've got it for you. Old, that's hot. Why would that be hot? Is that thing working? That's not running the elevators now, is it? This stuff now. No. I think so, but usually they're right above the whole building like that.
I mean, there's a freight elevator next time.
Yeah. Let's leave it here for another 60 years. Till someone finds it again. There.
All right.
Bert said they steal the hardware. Yep. He said the movie companies come in and steal the hardware. He's right.
There's one that's left, but it's locked. Uh-oh.
Hear this thing creaking? Too new. Although that one's broken.
Now it's empty.
It's an old room. Just goes to here. Everything's leaked through.
That's marble, huh?
Yep.
You want this door over here, the watch company?
Okay.
I'm just getting a couple of close-ups.
It's definitely old.
Oh, shine up. Oh, that's great.
Yeah. Every one of them, or else they're taken out. Oh, yeah. It gets like that in here, though. That's a set. And that's bad.
Where's the set?
The back's, oh no, it wasn't either. I thought it was.
Roll, David.
Okay. One thing
Oh,
here.
you want?
Oh, that's just falling down. I see. I thought it was actually slanted.
Oh.
No, it's just falling apart. Now all of a sudden it's like you're in someone's home. Abandoned home, but home. Look at this fireplace. I mean, that looks like a working fireplace. It probably isn't. Those are real logs. It's a real cigarette.
Okay.
Real crappy.
All right. This is great.
Okay.
Yep.
Glass made it through the years. Sink didn't. Man. Floor did. It's like an apartment out of the 40s or something. I mean, maybe my hands can be a little dirty. Through some of this is really kind of old.
All right, walk through this room then. Go ahead. No,
I do this a couple times.
okay.
We'll see.
All right. Well, you don't need the flashlight.
Only in here.
Okay, now I gotta switch.
And we'll just do it.
Roll. Yeah, just shine it around here, down the hall like that. And shine it wherever you're gonna shine it.
Ancient sink.
That's kind of neat with a radiator in the shop.
Yeah. And the other building looks exactly the same, so. Wow. It's so steep.
Some years ago, they did place off here, and they built each section of the room was a different room in that apartment. And they blew it, it was all that was made mostly of balsa wood. At the end, they blew it all up.
I mean, seriously, a helipad on the roof to take transit passengers where? Can you even imagine getting on a helicopter in the 1940s or 1950s? You're taking your life in your hands just doing that. The building was absolutely amazing.
Bert, first of all, I'm sure you would never have guessed that you would have ended up in what amounts to a rather historic little location, in a sense, for, geez, even your home. I mean, this is an interesting corner of the world, or a corner of the city, to find yourself in. I mean, has it been kind of enjoyable to be part of this structure?
Yeah, it has. And it's a kind
What, does it ever make you, and it must along the way, nostalgic to an extent for the times when this was in fact a very bustling, kind of busy place up through certainly the 1950s?
Oh yeah, it's a shame to see what's in here and they go out on the street and see what's there, especially at nighttime. You know.
Yeah, I mean, this has really dropped off into a difficult part of the city, hasn't it?
Right, it really has.
What do you think of this building?
The building is marvelous. I don't think anybody could pay for such a building today. It's just fantastic, and you come across all sorts of goodies every once in a while that you didn't even realize that were here.
Yeah, things that are hidden away and you know, maybe covered over at one time.
Yes, yes, like the attic above this ceiling here that I'm going to show you. You know.
Wow, look at the old railings.
It's right here. And there's a light in here. I'll get this.
Wow. Wow. Oh, man. Look at that.
Here,
All suspended by... Look at these wires. Watch out, watch out. Yeah, don't... Look at that. This would have been put back, this would have been put in here a long...
and there are carvings on the moldings there.
Yeah. So they put this suspended ceiling in, I mean, a long time ago.
Well, this was probably put in,
50s?
yeah, maybe, or
Probably?
yeah. Maybe when
I
the
mean,
red
even the
cars.
stairway would have been put in the 50s because this wouldn't have been here.
No,
This would
that's
have
right.
been, this is part of whatever this was as an open space.
This is the lobby. It's the top of the lobby.
What would have been then through there would be another room like this that would be above where you are. Right?
Yeah. Yes.
It would be some kind of an upper space.
Yeah, well,
above.
they actually have some kind of apartment there that you can get to from the garage.
An apartment?
Sort of.
Or storage space?
No, it's at least it's I don't know what it was originally, but there's a stairway in the garage, and up on the top there is an apartment.
Actually, what I think I'll do is, I don't want to work. I assume this will hold one person. I don't know if it'll hold two. So me up in here like this is fine. Jeff, you can just do me doing this. I'll come back at you, but God, I don't know. I kind of hate to take each step here because this is this is not something that, well, there's an old light bulb. Look at that. I can feel the whole thing with a little bit of movement to it. It feels like. Just
There's a loose board there. You're okay now.
yeah, but not just the boards. I guess. Well, okay. This is new sprinkler, huh?
Yeah.
That's. It's not a place you'd want to hang around a long time because you don't really know. I'm sure the sprinkler guys knew what they were doing and they probably reinforced anything that needed to be reinforced to walk on. But that's like an old drop ceiling is not common like that. I mean, to have this beautiful ornate upper ceiling, usually places will just leave that. I mean, into the past the 50s. It took the 1970s before they wrecked everything. This is plenty unusual in here. Plenty unusual. Wow. Okay, Jeff, you can go on your, then you do the whole building though.
No, we just did the main floor. And funny, they hired two companies, one after the other, they went broke.
Both of them. The sprinkler companies went broke.
They both went broke and didn't finish their job.
Jeez.
I imagine they were looking for the lowest bidder or something.
Yeah, right, right. So they did not finish.
No.
How much more is left to be done?
Well, the main floor, they've got the pipes all over the main floor, but it's not operational.
That cafeteria floor?
They've got the pipes there too.
Yeah.
And over the garage, but they never. And they have these big pipes like, you see that pipe there? That's
Yeah,
new.
yeah.
That's to feed the sprinklers. And they have one like that that goes all the way up, but they don't have any sprinklers above the first floor.
Yeah.
Well, they should have warned me, so.
Yeah, they should have warned you. What kind of Three Stooges sprinkler system was this?
The one that went broke, I
I mean,
guess that's why.
right. I guess.
In fact, the octagonal design of
The lighting
spikes
fixture,
is
yeah.
the same as up here.
Yeah. Really? Yeah. I guess it's solid. I guess. It just doesn't seem like the kind of place you'd want to be a lot. I don't know. Probably stronger than I think. Right. Right. I've never seen one suspended by such little wiring, a little tiny wire like that. It's just remnants of ancient light bulbs. I swear that you can feel the whole ceiling giving with each step. I hope that that's just my imagination. I'm really hoping that that's not what's happening on every step I take. It's just like a spider's web of tiny wires everywhere. You can take a look. Yeah, it goes all through, clear to the back. Just like, it looks like a spider's web. Look at that. Even more archways down in the far distance.
Okay, go ahead.
It looks just like a spider's web when you look at those narrow wires in place. And then in the distance, those archways, more of them, like on the other side, but way back there. Can't even walk around in this part. I think the sprinkler guys just gave up. Now we'll get it again. Okay.
I'm going on the level floor.
Does it ever feel, I don't want to say haunted, but a little bit mysterious in here? I mean, you've got a big empty structure.
Oh, yeah, and it's an interesting thing that sometimes the street noises seem like they're right behind you, and you wonder who's walking down the corridor.
Not a pleasant thought, I wouldn't think.
No. Yeah. At night, there are lots of street noises here, and it's a strange thing, but you don't know they're street noises. So you're always wondering about somebody lurking around in one of the empty rooms.
So it sounds like there's human beings hidden away.
Yes.
Or that they're coming at you out of these empty offices, or that you're hearing shuffling or movement in it.
Exactly.
Is it, have you ever hit a point where you've been truly said, I don't want to go on that floor right now?
I've had misgivings, but I've always done it.
So you've hesitated,
Yes.
but it's you've managed to fight through it.
Right. Or I'll go to the window and make sure that it's coming from outside.
Yeah, make sure that whatever you're hearing is outside there and not in here.
Right.
Because this is a pretty darn big empty space when you're
It is.
you're the only guy rattling around in here. Originally, this room was put on top of the building back in about 1908 when the building itself was completed. It was designed as a men's club for people that had businesses downtown, and it remained that way for a number of years until, as we've seen before, everything in downtown finally emptied out. It was the Jonathan Club. Oh, yeah. They would have been out of this space by, you gotta figure, practically World War II, that they'd be into a new club building. Maybe the 50s.
Well, for sure they went out when the red cars went out.
Which was 50s.
50s.
Right.
It was probably the Johnson Club that had
Well, they put the,
parties out there.
right, awnings and stuff out there. Well, that would have been nice. That would have been really, really nice.
They got a very pretty picture of it in
Oh, man. I can't believe they've kept that place open since 1908.
He claims he invented
If it's your friends or people that have come to visit or people that have known, you over the past 5 years being in this place, surely there's been a number of them that have said, hey, Bert, this is pretty wild, what you're in the middle of here. And I'm sure you've had that conversation with them.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I've taken every friend who's visited me, I've taken them up here and shown them this, and they're flabbergasted. Yeah. It's, this was built by a very rich man at a time when money really went far.
That's right.
And this whole top floor, those arched windows are everywhere on this top floor. And this huge room, I understand it was the headquarters of the Jonathan Club.
At one time, right?
Yeah. And that roof out there, that's a little lower than here, that was a place where they could have garden parties.
Yeah. But so you must have looked at it a couple times, or with friends, and said, this is actually where I live. You're the sole resident. I know that's a little bit of a stretch because you're really taking care of it.
Yeah, but at times you do get delusions of grandeur. This is your place. Yes. I have to keep reminding myself that I'm a hired hand here.
Even though you are the man, it's like you're the guy that ended up with the whole shooting wax. A lot of times they're not shooting movies in here, and it's just you.
Yeah.
What have your friends said to you about it?
Well, my son, who got married recently, would have loved to get married up here, but turned out there were some logistical problems. So
he thought about it.
But he thought about it very seriously. Yes.
Does he think this is kind of interesting that his dad is, holed up in this big giant place?
Well, it's a lot more fun than being holed up in some tiny apartment, I'll tell you that.
There's a plan afoot that I want to talk to you about for a second, which would rework lots of these buildings, maybe even all these buildings, into what would ultimately become residential units. Not like the one next door, which just was turned over into raw space, but I mean refurbished, redone, reconfigured, revitalizing every square inch of these buildings into their original form and making it just a very, very ornate, spectacular apartment condominium building, including lots of them in the vicinity. Does that seem particularly exciting to you?
Well, yeah, it would be a total revival, as has happened in some cities. I was involved with property in Miami Beach when you couldn't give it away, and suddenly South Beach is it. And this could certainly happen here.
And you lived for a while in Chicago, where you know what it's like to have an urban center be full of residential apartments and people.
Right, right.
Would you like to see that happen in Los Angeles?
Yes, yes, and particularly with that kind of mix that they have in New York, where you see rich and poor and American and foreign and everything all mixed. It's very exciting. I think that's why people love to go there, to visit.
Would you hate to see yourself have to move out of this that used to be whatever it was?
No, I wouldn't mind at all. I would just hope that I'd be able to afford something in the area afterwards.
Or maybe in the building.
And, maybe, yeah.
Get in here on occasion?
Well, at night, there are lots of street noises here, and it's a strange thing, but you don't know they're street noises. So you're always wondering about somebody lurking around in one of the empty rooms.
It sounds like there's human beings hidden away.
Yes.
They're coming at you out of these empty offices, or you're hearing shuffling or movement.
Exactly.
Is it, I mean, have you ever hit a point where you've been truly, like, said, I don't want to go on that floor right now?
I've had misgivings, but I've always done it.
So you've hesitated, but
yes.
it's, you've managed to fight through it.
Right. Or I'll go to the window and make sure that it's coming from outside.
Yeah, make sure that whatever you're hearing is outside there, not in here.
Right.
Because this is a pretty darn big empty space when you're...
It is.
You're the only guy rattling around in here. Fantastic. Good?
All right.
Okay. So tell me about that. How many times has it run through your mind that this is what you're kind of living in the middle of right now?
Well, it's interesting and strange at the same time. It's a huge building full of architectural beauties, and really it's a pleasure to walk around. And at the same time, I'm the only person here. I sometimes get worried about street noises, thinking somebody might be lurking in the building.
Yeah.
But it always turns out to be a street noise. And it has the great thing that I can sit down in my place at the piano at 3 in the morning and practice for an hour.
You're not disturbing anybody?
Nobody. Yeah.
We're going to continue that soundbite right here. Okay? I was just going to pick up where we left off for a moment and say that if it's your friends or people that have come to visit or people that have known you over the past 5 years being in this place, surely there's been a number of them that have said,
hey Bert, this is pretty wild, you know, what you're in the middle of here. And I'm sure you've had that conversation with him.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I've taken every friend who's visited me, I've taken them up here and shown them this, and they're flabbergasted. Yeah. It's, this was built by a very rich man at a time when money really went far.
That's right.
And this whole top floor, those arched windows are everywhere on this top floor. And this huge room, I understand it was the headquarters of the Jonathan Club.
At one time, right?
Yeah. And that roof out there, that's a little lower than here, that was a place where they could have garden parties.
Yeah. But so you must have looked at it a couple times, or with friends, and said, this is actually where I live. I mean, you're the sole resident. I know that's a little bit of a stretch because you're really taking care of it.
Yeah, but at times you do get delusions of grandeur. This is your place. Yes.
I mean,
I have to keep reminding myself that I'm a hired hand here.
Even though you are the man, it's like you're the guy that ended up with the whole shooting wax. You know, I mean, a lot of times they're not shooting movies in here, and it's just you.
Yeah.
What have your friends said to you about it?
Well, my son, who got married recently, would have loved to get married up here, but turned out there were some logistical problems. So
he thought about it.
But he thought about it very seriously. Yes.
Does he think this is kind of interesting that his dad is, you know, holed up in this big giant place?
Well, it's a lot more fun than being holed up in some tiny apartment. I'll tell you that.
Just what we're looking for. Exactly. I needed that exact bite that way. Perfect. Perfect.
Okay, I'm rolling.
It's one of the largest single structures in the original core of downtown LA. 500,000 square feet that's just been left here over the years. But now it's become home to just one man. You'll meet him coming up.
Okay, one more.
Okay.
I'm gonna come up to the right a little bit instead of to the left.
All right.
Rolling.
It's one of the largest single structures that was ever left behind in the downtown core of LA. 500,000 square feet, taking up an entire city block. But now it's become the home of just one man, and you'll meet him coming up in the Lost City.
Rolling. For that, now go ahead and
Start again.
do your
Same
stuff.
exact sequence. Just play it through for a minute or two.
Do you mind taking this over?
No, keep doing it. Yeah,
Yeah, we're fine.
good stuff. We will make it sound perfect. Beautiful. Perfect. Now.
Okay.
Whatever you feel like.
Oh, no, I played since I was a kid. But you have a music degree, you said? Yeah, Northwestern.
You went to Northwestern University with a degree from Northwestern. And complete classical music. I mean, like, you can't believe it's Beethoven. It's Mozart. It's like flawless. Slowly move over those lines. Oh, clear through there. And then when you come out of that song. It's beautiful. It's good. It's 5:50 so far. But that's a good year on Tuesday. Bert,